You're listening to the Crack It Cold podcast, where we interview inspiring individuals and ask them what they do and why they do it. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Crack It Cold, where you can find other creative media projects. Today on Can 11, you'll hear from Sarah Myer with Indiana Sports Corp. So yeah, this is Crack It Cold, and I'm very, very excited because I've been waiting for this for a long time. We have a really great guest, Sarah Myer, joining us today.
Yep.
Sarah was a Butler grad. She's been in Indy for a while now. She worked at Nuvo, Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra. She's now at Indiana Sports Corp. Has a lot of experience in marketing, has worked on the Final Four, many other big projects, and so we're excited to have her, get to know who she is, what she does, why she does it. So why don't you just go ahead and tell us a little bit about your career story and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. So you hit some of the major highlights. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so I grew up there. And then when I was looking at schools to go to, I either wanted to major in music or journalism, and I wanted to get at least 4 hours away from my parents, which sounds so bad. But I just wanted to be independent and be on my own. So my guidance counselor actually mentioned Butler, and I looked at pictures and I got a scholarship. And so I didn't even visit before I committed, which is crazy. I would not recommend that, but went to Butler, was a music major. I sang, so I was a music major for 2 weeks, realized I was not as good as everybody else. And I was like, I'm not as passionate about it as everyone else is here. So I quickly went into journalism. So I was studying public relations, and that's how I got really excited about promoting things. So I think even when I was growing up, I loved going to events. I loved telling my friends about them. So it was starting to become clear to me what my future was going to look like, which was promoting events. So I actually interned for the Pacers. I interned for the Indians. I was actually doing video work for them because I thought maybe I might want to do media. And then I worked for a radio station. And then when I graduated, I met some people that got me the job at Nuvo. So not a lot of people probably know what Nuvo is because the print version isn't around anymore, but it was like a printed weekly newspaper. It was distributed all throughout the city, so it was really hard to not see it anywhere. Okay. And it was just this huge listing of things to do in the city. So if you wanted to go to a concert or an Indians game or what have you, all of those things would be listed. They'd be reviewed. They would cover a lot of people doing great things in Indianapolis. So that's how I got to know the city really well. So I was there for 5 years doing a lot of promotions and marketing, getting to know a ton of people around the city. And I was like, wow, I think I want to make Indianapolis my city. I really, really love it, and it has a lot to offer. It's just that you have to put yourself out there and get to know it instead of just, sitting there and saying, what is my city doing for me?
Right, yeah.
And then I got a job at the Symphony, wanted to get back into music. They're a great nonprofit organization, so I learned a lot about nonprofit management and managing people, and they do 200 concerts a year, so I was constantly promoting lots of different things at the same time. And then I just really wanted to get more involved in giving back to Indianapolis, and a friend of mine called me and said the Sports Corp had a position open, and now I'm here. Yeah. So that's kind of the quick version of the last 20 years in Indy.
That's really awesome. It's a great story. And now that you're here at Sports Corp too, I feel like it's kind of a culminating situation where, you had that experience and it's a perfect fit. So what exactly do you do here at Sports Corp, and what is the mission of Indiana Sports Corp, and what does that have to do with Indianapolis?
Yeah, so it's funny because a lot of people have heard of Indiana Sports Corp, but they don't actually know what we do. So we impact the community through sporting events. So what we do is we want to bring major events here, and those events will build the reputation of Indianapolis because they get covered nationally and internationally through the media. They bring a ton of business to the city. So our hotels, our restaurants, we see such a boost economically when we have those events. And then civic pride, people want to live here and be a part of Indianapolis and volunteer and give back to the city through these events and then through our youth impact. So we always try to find a way to give back to the youth in our community through the events. So we're constantly bidding on the events too. So people ask, like, how involved are you with the Colts or the Pacers or the Indy 500? So if you want to differentiate Sports Corp from those other organizations, think of like what is Indianapolis owned and what isn't. So the Final Four isn't owned by Indianapolis. It travels every year. So that's a Sports Corp event. The Indy 500 clearly is an Indianapolis owned event. And we support it and everything, but the Sports Corp doesn't actually put that on. So what I do is, when we, first of all, I help us go after those events. So interestingly enough, right now we're going after Final Fours for men's and women's from the years 2027 through 2031. So I'm a part of putting that bid together and telling the story of why Indy should host it over Atlanta, Las Vegas, all of those other cities.
So when you say bid, do you mean like you're basically just presenting to the Final Four? Wow. So you have to put up a presentation for them too.
Yeah. Okay. And they put out a request for proposal. So they basically have a list of things that we have to put together in order to even bid on it. So they want to know how much the stadium can offer, how much the convention center can do. What is Indianapolis going to do differently than any other city? So I help put those together. And then once we get the event, I need to help those events promote to the central Indiana community. So, people like the Big Ten, like they're more focused on their schools and that community. They are awarding us an event and they say, okay, Indianapolis, now you have to help us put it on. And that includes marketing it. So really coming up with plans of how do we get people to the event and how do we get Indianapolis excited about it?
Yeah. So that's awesome. I think connection to Indy, all these things, you're doing so much for the city, and I think that's
Thanks.
so cool.
Yeah.
But, aside from your career,
yeah,
like you are obviously a very interesting person, and that's one of the reasons we want to have you on. Like, what if there's one thing that you wanted people to know about you, Sarah? One thing that you would want people to know about you right now, what would you say? Aside from work.
Aside from work, one thing that I would want people to know about me, I was trying to think about this, like, I would want people to know how passionate I am about people. Like, I love people. I love being around people. The pandemic was very hard for me. Being quarantined was not a great thing for me. And I realized, like, I do love my alone time, but man, like that was way too much alone time. So the people that I do have in my life, I'm very passionate about and I care about deeply. So I think if people had to take away something about me, that would probably be it. If you want a funny fact about me, I love to work out, and one of the reasons I love to work out is because I absolutely love craft beer and soft pretzels.
Oh, yes.
Craft beer and soft
Craft
pretzels.
beer. Okay. What's your go-to? Let's say you're going to a bar. Just an occasion. What's your go-to? Okay, like this is the beer I'm getting for this occasion. Like typically, like middle of the day. Here we go.
Middle of the day.
Or in the middle of the night.
When you're working and you go to lunch, what do you drink?
Like a Saturday.
I love so many of the beers from Sun King. So that's my favorite brewery here. I will say, though, probably one of my favorite beers is the Centerpoint Blood Orange IPA. So Centerpoint's another local brewery here, and it's amazing. It's like one of my favorites. So that is my go-to.
I heard you had some gifts for us.
I do. Yes. So Willie, I know that you love to. So obviously this is Crack It Cold.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, come on now. And I know that you like fishing, and I just went to this brewery in Ohio because that's where I'm from. So this is the Walleye PA.
Way.
Walleye.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then
a pale ale. Perfect.
Right?
I love IPAs.
And then JJ,
cool.
we were like. So my boyfriend Jaden loves the drinks too. So we were trying to figure out what else to bring. I am going to drink this one because it's one of my other favorites. It's from the same brewery.
Okay.
It's a mango habanero blonde, and I love like hot beers. Like I like when it's like flavored with like jalapeno and stuff. So we also brought you a couple. This is just my favorite day drinking beer. Good old Bud Light.
I wish
also,
you would have seen the shirt I had.
This too. So I don't know. It's like a gin with natural grapefruit and juniper berry.
That's
so really, just whatever you want.
Thank you so much.
I wish you would have seen the shirt I had on our way here. This man's wearing a Bud Light shirt.
You were?
And I was just like, hey, are you gonna wear that? He's like, no, I'll probably change.
my
I was like,
God.
you probably could wear
I was like,
it.
I don't know. I was like, I want to obviously like not.
But I
didn't
brought
know.
you guys koozies too if you need any.
Thank you so
They're-
much. I
Oh,
appreciate
They're
it.
Indie Hub koozies. I'm on the board of Indie
Thank
Hub
you
here.
so much.
People make the city. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Oh yeah. We got
For
it.
cracking cold, you got to get the sound effects in there.
I gotta go with the Bud Light. Classic.
There we go.
All right, we'll let it set. Let it set.
It's all right.
Don't ruin the technology, Willie. Oh
Yeah,
my God,
okay,
that's
there we go.
hilarious.
We'll wipe it down. I think we're good.
I think it'll be okay.
Do a little quick cut in there.
You're
No, I'll probably embrace
you
it.
could zoom
I'll
in
I
on
mean,
it.
I also love
I'll
like
embarrass myself.
like the marketing person in me also loves discovering new breweries because I love the logos, I love the names. It's just people get really, really creative with that. So that one, growing up, I went to we vacationed very near Cedar Point in Ohio, and Catawba Island is an island that's like probably about 25 minutes from Cedar Point.
Yeah.
And so they just opened their own brewery, and I thought that was hilarious. That was the Walleye IPA.
Yeah.
IPA.
Walleye. And it's
So a lot of walleye in Lake Erie. So it was
Oh,
hilarious.
that's awesome.
But yeah.
I went to Cedar Point growing up too.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah,
a
it's a
huge
blast.
roller coaster
It's a
person.
blast.
Love it.
Did
Yeah.
Willie tell you about when we went skydiving? Did he show you that?
Oh my God, I don't think I saw it, but he did tell me.
Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a skydiving
say.
person. Like anything like that. I'm
adrenaline.
all
Thrill
in.
seeker.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, that's us for sure. That's cool. That's really cool.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. This is really good. Honestly, I appreciate that.
You're
Seems
welcome.
Very, very heartfelt gift. Walleye IPA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I, people ask me like, what are you gonna do? Like, what is your ultimate goal? And I have actually thought about like retirement plan. Like, it would be so fun to just go to like a small town and open a brewery because I feel like there's such a community builder. It's very much like a coffee shop. I feel like, but obviously
Okay.
with
Yeah.
alcohol.
And I
But
feel like you have the personality and like the marketing background to like
Yeah.
promote that.
Yeah,
and
it'd be
I feel like
fun.
that would be really cool.
right?
That would be really cool.
Yeah. So
When you put together a list of things for like what you were even talking, like this was your job, like just
Yeah.
things to do in Indy.
Yeah.
And when I was your intern, fun fact, I was Sarah's intern. When I was your intern, you put a list for someone together, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Really, look at this list." And I was like, "Can you forward me that?"
Yeah.
And so you did.
Yeah.
And I saved it. And the other day, I don't know if you saw my Instagram story. I took my buddy Ricky out.
Oh, no
And
way.
you know what we did? We sat down for breakfast, and I pulled out your list. And we just
God.
looked at things to do, and
That's
we went
amazing.
to Foaling. So
Yeah.
is it Foaling?
Foaling.
It's Foaling, right?
Foaling,
Yeah. So
uh-huh.
we went to Foaling, and the Foaling warehouse, and we got milkshakes at
Gordon's.
the Gordon's on Mass Ave.
Yep.
Wow.
And like it was just such a fun day, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean you can put alcohol in your milkshakes there. It's kind of crazy, but so
Yeah.
we have a little game that we're gonna play
Oh my
with you.
God.
Yeah.
John, you have your phone.
We're ready.
We're gonna get out a timer. Do you think 30
guys.
seconds?
I think we should.
Do you think you can go for 30 seconds if we have you list as many things to do in Indy as you
Yes.
can? Okay,
Yes.
she says yes.
30
So 30
easily.
seconds, you have to say as many as you can.
I got the
Are you
timer.
ready? We'll let us know when you're ready,
okay.
and you just belt them out. Let
All
the
right.
people know what the Circle City has to offer.
Oh boy. Okay. Are we ready?
Yep.
All right, you ready? 3,
Okay.
2, 1, go.
Okay, go to a Colts game, go to an Indy 11 game, go to Victory Field for the Indians, concert at White River State Park, go see the Idol Jorg movie at the IMAX, go to Sun King, go to the Catacombs and City Market, the Children's Museum, see a show at the Symphony, go to the top of the Soldiers and Sailors Monument, go to the War Memorial, take a run around the zoo, go to the zoo, have St. Elmo's tea cocktail.
1.
Yes.
Holy cow, that was so
Well
much
done.
faster than I thought.
Wow. I thought she'd be like,
started-
looks a little.
No, she
Oh
was
my
moving quick.
God.
That
No,
was great.
I love Indy. There's so much to do, and when people tell me that they can't find much to do around here. It drives me insane. And it is a big part of my job because, like, I mean, what you're referencing, so the NBA 2K League moved here for their season, their 5th season here. And they're all from New York and from other parts, of the country. So they don't know what Indianapolis has to offer. And a lot of people base Indianapolis off of the state of Indiana. So, like, one girl from the 2K League said, "Where are you hiding the farm?" Like, we took her out to dinner and she goes, "Where are you hiding your farm?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? There's no farm." So I think it's very much, I compare it to like Austin to the rest of Texas. Like, it's just so cultural and there's so much to do. It's so walkable. So, part of my job is like when those people do come into town, like you have to tell them like there is so much more to do than just what's at your venue. Right. So like get out and do those things. Another guy from the 2K League, I had written on my list to go to the garage, or someone had told him to go to the garage, and he literally thought, he was like, "What is in the parking garage?" And he had no idea that like people were telling him like to go to Bottle Works. So it's just so funny, and I think like that's what I encourage people to do, is just like seek out those things to do, because like if you don't put the effort in, then you're not going to find much. So.
And so, man, that's awesome. And so, like, I'm glad we got to kind of see that side of you. I want to get back more into as well, like, with your time at Sports Corp, what would you say was your biggest accomplishment or project or period of time? Yeah. And you want to just talk a little bit about it?
Yeah. So March Madness was definitely my biggest accomplishment. Yeah. So, when I got the phone call, it was mid-November, from my boss, Patrick. He called me and said, "Hey, are you sitting down?" So the NCAA has approached us, and they want to host the entire tournament in one city, and they think that could be Indianapolis. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I was like screaming in the house, and I was just like so excited. Like, there was no part of me that was worried about it. Like, when I first heard that, it was all excitement and all like, I have to do this. Wow. And it was one of those moments too where, and you guys are going to have a lot of these moments, but when you're like, okay, I'm being called to do something here and I really need to step up my game because this is a big moment for me, and I could either, really show people what I'm made of, or I could let this moment go by and I could have taken a huge, opportunity. So I remember I talked to my family, my boyfriend, my friends, and I said, "Hey, like, if we do get this, like, I will not be, like, I am committing my entire life to it. At 24 hours a day, I will do this until it's done, because like that's what what needs to happen, and this could be a huge game changer for me." So as soon as we found out, and then we announced at the end of December or in the beginning of January of 2021, I dedicated everything. I was in the office Saturdays, Sundays. I was working day and night. We were on calls. Like, we had a weekly call with NCAA every Sunday night from like 8 until 10:30. Like, it was insanity. Wow. But it was like one of those moments where I was like, I knew that if I didn't put my all into it, like, I would be giving up a huge opportunity to show that, I could really make a difference in the city. And it definitely paid off, because obviously the tournament went so well. Right. We were able to showcase so much more of the city than just the games. So it was great.
That is awesome. And have you felt like, how did that event change Indianapolis?
Oh my God. I think it taught Indianapolis that we can be resilient and that we can be more of an outward leader than we tend to be. I think we tend to be really humble about how great we are. And I think this was a way to shine and just be like, hey, we can do this, and we're really strong, and we're really a united city. So we're going to make this happen, and we're going to make this happen when no one else could. Yeah. So I think that was a huge moment for us to really have pride in what we do, because again, I think the humility always takes over, and we're like, well, yeah, we're great, and it's like, no, we're really great. We can do these big things. Yeah. So I think it was huge. And I think it was also the catalyst that really told people, all right, we need to find ways to open back up. We need to find ways, because we can be safe and we can operate, but we need to do it. Like, we can't just rest right now. We have to be working.
And people need to know. Like, you talk about that civic pride. Yeah. If you live in Indianapolis, like, this is what we are here for.
Absolutely.
The hotels, the conventions, the sports, like, that is what our city is. The economic growth, the society, it's very important, and we should all take pride in that. Yeah. And I just think it's so cool. And for me, like as a student during this time, especially like in sports management, like I chose to come to Indianapolis for a reason.
Right.
And that happened when I was in school in Indianapolis studying sports management. And so for me, it's just like confirmation, like this is the place to be.
Yep.
You know, and I'm getting ready to move to South Carolina, and it breaks my heart. Like I'm excited, but like I love Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I really want to come back. Like I hope that I can get good experience and return here someday. I don't know when. I don't know. You know, I really don't know, but like I love Indianapolis a lot.
But I will say, Willie, like I'm excited for you to go to South Carolina because I think, you know, I didn't travel much when I was younger, and that's probably one thing I wish I would have done more because, you know, I think to stay creative, we have to like surround ourselves with different environments. Yeah. And so like I love traveling to other cities and I love seeing how they do things, and then it makes me a better person when I come back to my job and try to think of new ideas. So I think you're going to come back and be like, we should do this and this and this, and I think it's going to be great for you. So don't be too heartbroken.
Thank you.
Although we all are.
And like, yeah, I know. It's like the card. So John, when on my last day here, as her intern, I got her this card. And it was like, I'm sorry for your loss.
Sympathy card. I was dying. It was the best.
So speaking on Willie as an intern.
Oh,
full disclosure here.
Yeah.
Yep. I wanted to ask you this. Like, what is he like as an employee? Like, what?
Oh my God.
Did you like most?
As an employee.
Or what did you like least? Whatever you want to talk. But I'm curious to like hear what you have to say about, because I know what he has to say about you, and like I've heard all about that. But like talking about Willie as an employee. Like,
Willie reads people, I think, really well, and he knew that like I think he could tell I was a person that wasn't going to ask for help very easily, and so he pushed me a lot to be like, I'm here to help you. Like I can let me know what I can do to help you. And I think like that was the nice thing is like you can trust Willie to literally be able to interact with anyone too.
Right,
I think that's a hard part with, you know, and I get it. Like when you're an intern, it's hard to approach some of these like bigger people in sports, but yeah, you can trust Willie with, you know, being a good person to people and taking into consideration like other people's feelings and everything when he's operating. So, but yeah, I loved that he always pushed me. It was like, I'm going to need to keep asking her about how she needs my help. So yeah, but you could always tell like there's something going on in your mind. Like there's a joke going that you might not quite be telling me, or like, and then I would hear like commotion like outside. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm pretty sure Willie just made a joke, but he's keeping it quiet. Or
yeah, so that's the balance you gotta know. Like, when is appropriate?
When's the right time?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Good times, man.
Good times.
Good times in the sports.
I'll just miss being an intern someday. Like when I actually have, you know, like a decent job that's like full time or whatever. I'll look back and I'll be like, man, I miss being an intern.
Yeah.
Like, because you're just always learning. Like you're just around. Yeah. You're learning. Like you're there to help, but really, it's what people don't understand is like, as an intern, I feel like most of the benefits is like on me. Like, I mean, it's not, no one's really benefiting from.
It's the journey. It's the journey to where you
we
live.
are.
You know what I mean?
Come on.
Yeah, but like,
credit.
It's like a really good, you know, I mean, you get to ask any question and any, like, people will always be there to answer, always be there because that's the whole purpose of it.
And one day you'll be, you know, answering those questions. So
I hope so.
Exactly.
Full circle.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Sarah, you know, we've talked about the city, obviously, but you're everywhere. You're everywhere, and this is part of your job. Like you're all around the city. Yeah. And so you know it really well. Mm-hmm. So what do you do? Let me rephrase this. Your job consumes a lot of your life.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
So some people have the 9 to 5, typical, you know, go to work, clock out, go home, and it's done.
Yeah.
But for you, your job is always happening.
Right.
I mean, relationships are always there, and you're always thinking about, you know, different things. What do you do? Is there separation between your life and job? Or what do you know, like, what does that look like for you? Like, what is the lifestyle like for the life of Sarah Myer?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a really, really great question, because sometimes they do bleed together. And what's funny is, like, the people that I work with, sometimes I just adore them so much, they start to become my friends. So, like, places where I volunteer or I give my time, I'll start to get close to those people, and I will hang out with them on the weekends, or you know, and it does kind of bleed through. But I think what's important is to have those friends that are completely outside of your world. So you know, they're not involved. You can still talk to them about it, but you can also have a really great personal relationship with them. I actually think it's kind of nice that my family is in Cleveland, because like that completely separates it for me. I think everyone's really worried that I'm going to move back there any day now, but I truly go back there mostly because like I can go see my family. I kind of shut things down. You know, I really try to not check my email as much, but yeah, I mean, and I think that's important too, is you need to be present with people, and that has been a big struggle for me, because I'm constantly wanting to check my email, make sure I'm not missing anything, make sure I'm on top of things. But I feel like you'll be better at your job if you can have more of that separation. So I really try to do that. But it is hard, because especially with events that we do where they're on the weekends, or, you know, the planning is just happening nonstop. And you also kind of have to set your own boundaries, because there are people who they email no matter what time of day it is, or you know, what time of the week it is. So, and I think, but people I think are actually getting better about setting those boundaries and respecting them. Yeah. So I do try to separate it a little bit, because I do know people who it's their everything. And I think, like, you know, when I look back on my life, yes, work is going to be a huge part of it, but it's going to be those relationships with people that are going to be the most meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get some of that walleye.
Walleye PA. I like that a lot. It's convenient.
Would you like to
The
try it?
walleye PA. I'll take a swag.
Also, we are recording in the Sports Corp offices, and clearly they don't put the AC on the weekends, and I am sweating like crazy. I'm not nervous for this, but oh my God.
It is. It's hard to breathe in here.
But just want to let you know I'm not nervous.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I feel it too. I'm definitely sweating. We're getting ready to get the baseball game.
Yeah. Yep.
What is the temperature outside?
It's pretty warm.
You know, I had this question that was gonna be so good, because you were talking about that. Like, are there things that you do to detox from, like? Oh, I know what I was gonna ask. Okay, because you were talking about the emails and the Outlook and the Zoom meetings. Why, like, what's all of this technology? Is it a good or a bad thing?
Oh man.
You know what I mean?
I feel like that's like its own separate podcast.
Right. We can go on about it forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's good because it makes us more efficient, and it's bad because it demands more of our time and our attention. And I think, like, I mean, this will go into social media too, but it's just like, I don't know. I do, like, there are things where I'm like, oh my God, I can't imagine if we didn't have this. Like, email in itself is like, I can't even imagine, like, having to make phone calls all day to, like, get things done, or, you know, or like not be able to track, like, where things are. So yeah, I think it's great, but it's definitely something that, again, you kind of have to set boundaries with, which sounds weird to do that with technology, but you absolutely have to, because it's so accessible and it makes you so accessible, and that's just kind of odd.
Yeah. I mean, and it stresses, like, sometimes it stresses me out. And like, like, when you have like a notification that's like 15 minutes is, like, and you just like get that anxiety, that rush of anxiety. It's like, it's just so unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, and in marketing too, like, this is going to sound funny, but it's one of the reasons why I actually would like to get out of marketing at some point, is because it's gotten so intrusive. So if you're a really great marketer, you know a lot about digital marketing and retargeting people by what they're going, like what websites they're going to, and their behaviors. And I'm like, that is so stalkerish. I don't want to do that to people.
Right.
But it works. I mean, we've all been targeted by ads that are clearly based on things that we've already searched for. Yeah. And that's great marketing, but at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, that just seems. Ugh.
That's so interesting to say that, because one of my first days as working for you was, you gave me a project that was social media based, and like I had to do a lot of research, and I had never really done a marketing role before, like, and so I was just like, oh oh my gosh, like I kind of felt that, and I was just, it was very interesting. So I think that's neat that you brought that up.
Do you feel like as a marketing person, like that's obviously your job in Indianapolis? Is this because everything's so close? Like I feel like Indianapolis it's small, but everything's so accessible, like you talked about. Like, does that make it easier, you think, for you, like knowing that, okay, like I can do this or do that, and like you have so many connections now, so like how does that work out? Like if you go, say this person, like and they know someone that like is that, as like I feel like as a marketing person it's good to have those connections, obviously.
It's really it's really funny that you bring that up, because I think a big part of my job is the relationship part.
Right.
Like I do marketing through having great relationships with people that also can help me tell the story of what we do. So like if you think about it, like Indiana Sports Corp is very close with Visit Indy and Downtown Indy and the Cultural Trail and the Arts Council and some of these like civic partners. And because of those relationships, they also help tell the story about the Big Ten football championship and the NBA All-Star game and things like that. So and that's honestly, that is what I love about marketing. That's my favorite part of marketing, is the relationship side and the engagement side. More the advertising side is I can do it and I do it well, but it's not what really excites me. And I will say too, like, I think that's the thing that sticks out for our partners too. Like the NCAA, they can find an agency or anyone who can put together an advertising plan and tell them where to advertise and what to do. But they can't find just anyone or any organization that can say, you should work with this person and you should get to know this person. And, we do all of that for them. So like, I think that's a huge part of why Sports Corp is such a beneficial partner, is because of those relationships.
So what's the most rewarding part of your job?
The most rewarding is definitely when you see people coming to an event and you know that you are a big part of doing that. The next big event that I'm planning is the 2024 Olympic swimming trials. And we're building pools inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. Wow. And it's 9 days. So I just cannot wait for that first day when everything's set up on Georgia Street in the convention center, the pools are open, and the national anthem is playing before the first swimmers take off. That's going to be unreal. And those are my favorite moments. It was my favorite moment when I worked for the symphony and in concerts too, was the couple of seconds right before the concert was about to start. If you look around at the audience, they are so excited. They're so ready to see something. And it's the same for sports. Everyone is just so ready for it. Yeah. And to be able to bring that kind of joy to people is really great. So that's the biggest payoff for me.
And that's what you put together. You're witnessing that moment that you helped put together right before it happens. I can only imagine that feeling of oh
my God.
Even the CFP stuff. I know he talked a lot about that, and he was just explaining it to me. He was telling me his favorite part of it was almost not even watching the game, just watching everybody enjoy what they're doing. Because you guys had such a big part in that it kind of comes.
And and just everyone was so happy because of COVID and getting back together, and I would say too, just the community part of it as well, being able to see people get involved in sports that they're not huge football fans, but they want to give back to Indianapolis, and they can do that through our events, which is so cool.
Yeah.
And I will say too, working with students, it's so much fun. And I think the way that you guys get opportunities, man, I wish I would have taken more advantage of stuff like that when I was in college, because it's right down the street. It's awesome. So,
and I have to commend you for everything you've done for me, as a student, because honestly, I met you during the NCAA Final Four mentor program, and that was during COVID, and so we were over Zoom.
Yeah.
And I just remember how intentional you were to just, even over Zoom. Yeah. And I just really appreciated the effort that you put into that, because I had other students who had different mentors and whatnot, and nothing really came from it. But we met, you stayed true to it with your busy schedule. And then when COVID started to, leave, we continued to meet, and we would do we did coffee, and it was just so exciting. And then you sent me a link to the internship for the college football playoff. And I applied, and after my interview, I got the job, and I knew that you said something because I can't remember how I brought up Sarah, but they were like, yeah, she has a lot of good things to say about you, and I was like,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Man. So she just so I was just so like grateful for that. Like, I just want you to know that I recognized it because I got that opportunity because of you. And immediately following, I got to come back to Sports Corp and intern with you there.
Thank you for saying that.
So just, I mean, I've learned so much and just met so many people. And honestly, like, if I hadn't have met you during that mentor program, I don't know. I don't even know if I would still be in sports.
Well,
like, I may, you know what I mean? Like, I really mean that.
Thank you. You probably would, but
definitely.
And now we're here.
Now we're here.
Just recording podcasts, drinking.
It's funny how that works.
Who would have thought, Willie, after all those Zooms?
I know. Crazy how that works. But so back, to your job reward. We talked about your rewarding, like what kind of things you like about it. But what kind of sacrifices do you feel like you make working this kind of lifestyle?
No one has asked me that question. Oh my God. The sacrifice of time and presence, I'll be honest.
Okay.
I always not always think about it, but I do think about like what would a typical 9-to-5 job look like, and like what are the other things that I could put time towards if I like I wonder that about people. I'm like, what is that life like? Because even if I'm not working at home at night, like I take it home with me. I dream about it. Like and I do feel bad that like you can tell when I'm thinking about work or if I'm checking my email or my mind is somewhere else because I'm not present.
Right.
So I would say that's the sacrifice that you make, is that it is going to be something where you're not going to be able to shut it off all the time. And there are times too, and my team is so great about this and so flexible about it, but there are things that just pop up and you have to manage it on the spot. So you have to be really flexible with your time and energy. So I would say definitely time and presence. Yeah, and that's why you have to like really focus on taking care of yourself. And I think that's why I'm so glad that like there's so much stuff out there now about mental health and like how do you like really focus on yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people, those kinds of things, because I think it's really, really important, because I've seen myself where I'm not getting enough sleep, or I haven't been working out, or I haven't been like moving my body. And so like I know what happens when that does happen, and it's just not good for me.
Yeah. And so you have hobbies and you filter them in somehow. So what's it like, what's a typical day like for you when you get to actually do the things that you like outside of work? Like what kind of, what is it? What do you?
So I do, like I said, I do love to work out. I teach classes at the YMCA and I love that. Nice. So it's like a cardio class that I teach, but I love walking, biking. I love being outside. So if the weather is nice enough, I'm definitely someone who's outside. I'm not sitting on the couch watching a ton of TV.
Yeah.
I love going to concerts, live music, live outside is my ideal. I do love traveling. I love discovering new cities, even if it's just like for the day. We'll take a lot of trips to like Cincinnati and Louisville because they're so easy to get to from here. I like to read. I unfortunately just don't have enough time for it sometimes. And I also get distracted easily. So I really need to be in a place where I'm not going to get distracted and I can focus.
Right.
And then writing too. Like I love to write. And again, it's one of those things that I wish I could make more time for.
How many hours a day are you home?
Oh my God! So
We're the hard hitter questions.
If we're gonna get a dog, and I can't. It's like we can't.
Don't have the
to
time.
It.
He's like, nope. He's like, not a chance.
So true. I know. Oh God, this is so bad. But during the week, like maybe 3. Like I'm in the morning, obviously, and then I get home. But I get home usually around like 7-ish, and then I am definitely a sleep person, so I will go to sleep at like 8. I mean, between 8:30 and 10.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. You have to, though. Like,
When
as
you're that
much as
busy,
you do.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you got to stay. That's what I've noticed about myself. Is like when I do not get enough sleep, like it's awful. And it's a consistent thing. Like it's not just, oh, I can have a good night's rest this one night and then have a good week. Like consistent sleep is like everything if you actually want to be productive.
Yep.
That's
really
been an
is.
issue for me. Like especially like as a college student.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's hard.
You
I mean,
guys.
it is hard.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
To consistently like build a routine to where like you do this, because like Friday through Saturday, like typically we're going to do something, whether like we're hanging out or we're going to do whatever. And like
we're going to do
You
whatever.
better. You better.
Like,
You guys
we're
are
trying
young.
to-
You
yeah,
should go.
exactly.
Do it.
we're trying to do all the things.
Yeah.
So
But you know what? Like honestly, JJ is one of my best friends,
Yeah.
and like I know you really well. I know him really well. John, tell her about like what you do and stuff. 'Cause
Yeah,
he probably-
let's hear it.
I don't
yeah,
know.
so basically I'm going to school to be an X-ray tech, like radiology
God,
through IPUI. And it's something like throughout college, like I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like I didn't really feel called to do, and like, cause I jumped around, like I was in sports management for a while. I was like a psychology major. Like I just tried to do as much as I could school wise. And then I eventually, like during COVID, I was like, I feel like I'm just not making a difference. Like I feel like I'm not doing anything to help somebody, you know what I mean? And then I came across that and I like sat and talked with an advisor, talked to people that were in that industry, and they were like, it is difficult. Like you are going to see, like, obviously you're dealing with people that are broken or like people that, they're in the hospital. So it's like, it is tough, but
my God, yeah.
Once I came across that, it was just like, wow, like I enjoy doing this. Like it is cool. And like, I like the people, like I started out like working at Eskenazi, like I was like a front desk, like just trying to build my way in. And then now I'm a student tech there. And like, I will say those techs are like some of the nicest people I've ever met, like at Eskenazi. And like my clinical site is at University Hospital. And you would think like, I don't know, like working in healthcare is obviously a very stressful industry. Like it's same for you guys. Like it is stressful. Like it's always on your mind kind of, because like you see, these people and you're like, well, yeah, I wonder how they're doing today, or like, how are they? But yeah, you have to be like such a caring person to do that. And like, I see that now from those people that I've worked with. And like, it is really cool to see like someone from the outside coming in, but yeah, and Indy's great. Like, and there's so many hospitals here. Like, there's so much accessibility, and like we talked about, that's pretty much everything. Almost anything you want to do here it's so accessible. Yeah. And like IUPUI has been great for that. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Like, this city has given me that. Given me that so like more than I think any other place could.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But
like two things that come from that. One, I mean, I do think it's crazy that when we're 16 or 17, we're really being asked, what do you want to do for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
So, I think that that's insane now looking back. And I just feel like you guys should be like a little bit easier on yourselves when it's like, oh my God, I don't know what I want to do. It's like, of course you don't know what you want to do. You haven't experienced that much of life. And two, COVID did the same exact thing to me. Like I really was like, I lost my sense of purpose.
Yeah.
And our events had all gotten canceled. I wasn't around people, and I was like, what the heck am I supposed to be doing? I thought I was going to be serving people and serving my community, and now I'm not doing any of that. And what is my purpose here? So like, that's just awesome that you explored that and that you found this, because I mean, COVID was hard on all of us in different ways, but I mean, I totally hear you on that, because it definitely rocked my world when I was like, oh my God,
It was I almost think like I'm almost appreciative for that moment, because it allowed me to see, like, you have to step back and see things for what they really were. Like people, lost their jobs, can't pay for their rent, like there's so many things that it impacted. And then now, like looking where I'm at now, and that was only 2 years ago, but it feels like it's been,
that changed so much for so many
really
people.
Did. And but like you guys, your industry especially,
oh my God,
you were, you guys were definitely, because you couldn't have in person, but you guys still succeeded. I think
they say sports is recession proof. Like there's literally
nothing
that can take it down. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go major in sports management. COVID. 2 years in, COVID shuts down sports. I'm like, are you serious? I picked the one thing that I thought would never go away.
Yeah.
And
man.
But look at what you had during that time. You guys, you had the obviously the men's Final Four, like the entire tournament was here.
Yeah.
Right.
CFP, like all these things that have came here since you guys since COVID hit.
Yeah.
So it's obviously it's had an impact, but you guys have still
Right.
been able to, go on the up. So,
But it definitely teaches you how, like, through challenge and through like trauma, like those are those times when you can really show your strength and resilience too. So like for you to step back and figure out, what do I want to do? How can I serve? And for you to say, like, I'm still going to get involved and still going to do these things. Like, I think that's really great, because I'm sure there were a lot of people who are just like, just going to chill for a little bit and hang out until this passes, which we all know, like, it didn't pass it still hasn't passed.
It puts in perspective for me, like, in history, you hear about these large events, and I'm like, this is kind of it. Like,
isn't that crazy?
Like, our lifetime, I feel like this is probably the biggest thing that's ever happened. I mean, it is.
It's crazy to think about.
And so, I mean, this will be in the history books for it. Like, the coronavirus.
Yep.
And it's just
and
weird
where you
to think.
were when everything happened. I mean,
that's like one of those moments you'll never I'll never forget the first time I was like, okay, COVID, because we were in school, living in North Hall, in my dorm. Spring break.
10:20.
10:20 p.m. approximately.
Do you need to pour one out for that? Or we're all good here?
Yeah. Jeez.
JJ, where are you from?
So I went to high school with Willie, actually.
Oh my God.
So I've known him
I don't
since
think I
like
knew that.
Yeah.
I've known him since sixth grade when he moved.
Oh my God.
moved
That's awesome.
to
Been through the
Frankton.
slums.
Yeah. The dirty F.
Back to-
The dirty F. Yeah, but so I grew up with Willie.
Okay.
Went to high school together, obviously came here. And then I feel like ever since then, like, it's just kind of like you see,
Our
like you kind of see your
friendship.
passions, like as you get older, obviously, and like
Yeah.
your friends, some friends start to go this way, go that way, but like it just kind of happened. Like we both kind of together, like just,
dude, it's been
and
so
it wasn't
awesome.
even like purposeful. It just
fun.
kind of happened. Like it was like
Yeah.
our passions just aligned. And like, even though we're not like in the same industry, like it's still, you know what I mean? Like the passion for what we do is still there. So,
and I have never been like closer to him. We got so close when in college.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it, is because you have a lot of high school friends that just kind of fade away. But our friendship got stronger when we got to college. And I love that, because you hear so many stories about, roommates and stuff, and how they fight and then they never talk to each other. But like, kind of like you said, like we grew up together and matured together. And we've seen, we've just seen like, every part of our deepest, life stories, and we've just been there the whole time. It's
That's
just
awesome.
This is my ride or die.
Yeah,
right
that's
here.
awesome.
That's cool.
I love it.
That's my ride or die.
That's so
cool.
fun.
But, so motivation, obviously, we believe. I think most of us would all agree, and we've brought this up on previous podcast. Discipline over motivation, like, because you're not always going to be motivated, right? But what does motivate you to do your job? Or in other words, why do you wake up in the morning?
What motivates me to do my job is just that strive for excellence all the time. I've always been someone who, I'm competitive. I've always wanted to be the best in class, and I haven't always gotten there, but I always want to make, I feel this responsibility to deliver to Indianapolis all the time. So that really motivates me, and just to be able to like make our partners like the NCAA or like USA Swimming just love Indianapolis and be so grateful for us as a partner is really what moves me, because that's only going to be good for the city of Indianapolis. So the community motivates me. That's what motivates me to get up every day, is because we're doing such important work for the city. And then I think we should all just be really grateful that we are able to do the things that we do. I mean, I think sometimes we take for granted that we're able to, do this podcast right here, or, go to an Indians game later. I've been through a lot in my life. I've had a lot of loss in my life, and I've, friends who have, experienced a lot. And I think that you have to be grateful for every day. So the fact that we get to live it and some others aren't able to do that, I think is a huge motivation for me too.
That's awesome. And one last question, because I know we'll wrap it up here soon.
Okay.
I think my MacBook just died. but it's all right.
Off the cuff.
What? Off the cuff, yeah. Let's see.
Here we go.
Can't remember. Oh my gosh, no. Okay. So, what is your advice for a couple of dudes like me and John?
Yeah.
Early 20s, trying to find their career, also, live a meaningful and happy life.
Yeah.
So, professional life, whatever it is, what kind of advice would you give to us and all the other lovely people watching?
Yeah.
No, just like, for this age, like for real. Like, do you have advice like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things I've learned is just to not live to other people's expectations and to develop your own for yourself. I lived a lot of my earlier life by, kind of this idea of what perfectionism was and the idea of like exactly what I needed to do to be like successful, and learned very quickly that was not the case, and that I really needed to figure out who I was and deliver the expectations of myself. So I think we all know how that feels, whether they're expectations from our parents or professors or just from friends, or, what you feel like you should be doing and what you can be doing. So I think really testing yourself and making sure that the decisions you're making for your life are your decisions and things that are influenced by your experiences and not by other people and other people's expectations and opinions of you. And to that point, I would also say, someone was also asking me about this a couple of days ago, and I repeated the saying, comparison is the death of joy. So really not comparing yourself with other people, but comparing yourself from who you were the day before to the next day, and making sure you're just improving on that and not by everyone else around you. I think social media has made that very, very hard, but I think we all have to remember that, life's highlights are going on social media, and just to not compare yourself to anyone else other than who you were before, and trying to improve that every day. So that's what I've been trying to do. And it's something also, like I say this and I'm no expert. It is a daily thing that I have to work on. I daily have to work on not comparing myself to others. And I daily have to make sure that the decisions I'm making in my life aren't because of what my parents might have wanted for me or whoever, but like, this is what I want for my next step. So that's probably my advice.
That's really awesome. No, that's really good.
So true though. Like, I feel like as I've gotten older, I've seen that, like, it's hard not to compare yourself, especially with social media, but it's, that's great advice, I think.
Yeah. And as you're making like big decisions in your life, like you're going to have friends and other people who seem like they have it all together and they're just doing all of these things, and everyone's going through a struggle. Everyone is. So you have to give yourself a little grace.
It's crazy. Because we talked about that one time too, how like some of the most professional people you look at, and they're just as scared inside.
Oh, absolutely.
Everyone is.
Yep. But I think everyone has a little bit of that fear inside them that they might not be able to do everything that they're expected to do, but I think we all can overcome that. So yeah.
Well, Sarah, thank you. It's been
You're
real.
welcome.
Thank you,
It's been
Sarah.
fun.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Hasn't been
real
fun. No, this is this is great. This is awesome. I had a lot of fun doing this. Thanks for the gifts.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the wonderful words of wisdom.
Cold Bud Light.
Yeah.
Free and cold. Talking ass.
She knew JJ. Bud Light.
I love it. Thank you for having me, guys. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this. So, all right.
Cool.
That concludes
Sweet.
Crack It Cold.